Right, team. So we did till here, right? We know how to use our private PDF file to create a chatbot. Now we will try to create a user interface for same, and that could be a kind of a chatbot using Streamlit that will help us in create a user interface, and our private data in the form of PDF will help us in creating a context for that chatbot to reply when a user asked a question, right? Related to my company, related to my organization, anything, right? So for the same, let's move ahead to our coding environment. This is our VS Code. Here I already created a folder, right? This is a project folder in which all our entity will exist. The first thing that I'll put over here is what is my PDF file. All right, so here is my PDF file that will create a context for my chatbot. Next, we'll create a app over here. So I can create app.py. Okay. Now we will import the required libraries, right? Like for example, Streamlit is required. So import Streamlit as st. Okay. strem. Okay. Import Streamlit as st. Then we required fids. I already told you what is fids. Fids is something which will be used to access the content of PDF. And fids you can import if you have installed the library called PyMuPDF, isn't it? This thing will be there, right? Next, we have to import OS. Okay, OS will be required later on to define your API key, okay, securely and secretly. And then we also require Google Generative AI. So Google dot generative AI as Gen AI. All right, this is done. Thereafter, we have to configure our API key. So for configuring our API key, what we do? We use Gen AI dot configure. As of now, I'm writing like that only. Here, I'll just define API key. That means I'm not using any OS, right? It's API key I'll define right over here. Now, what is our API key? The same API key that we had used earlier, or you can create your new API key, right? So how do we create a API key? To create API key, we need to go to AI Studio, right? And in AI Studio, you can create your API key. Let me show you. So here, these are the API key that we had used earlier, right? So if I want to use the same API key, I can use it. Here are the API key. Let me copy this API key, okay? And then let paste it in our development environment, okay? All right. So now API key is there. Thereafter, we can do what? We have to create a function which can extract the PDF. All right. So I have to use def extract PDF. All right. Extract PDF text. Okay. So for this, what we require the PDF path, right? The path of file where my file, path of PDF file where my PDF file exists. Now, how can I access it? It can be accessed using fids, right? So I'll use fids dot open. Okay. And what I need to open? I need to open this PDF path. So copy this entity and paste it over here. So this is how you can access the document. Now, in the document, I have to just extract each entity, whatever the text mentioned over there, and store it in a particular variable. So I'll run a loop for page in what? For page in doc, right? That means just iterate through the doc one by one, the content in the doc, and then read those things. How to read it? Page dot get text. This will read the text from there, okay, from the doc, right? And then it will store the information in a single variable that I can define as a full text, right? So full text will get updated with the content of page. So full text plus equals to like this. So it will keep reading the page and will update our full text, and at the end full text will have all the information from my PDF file or the text file. and at the end I'll just return this full text. All right. Thereafter, what we need we need a function which can generate the response, right? So I need to create a function generate AI response from conversation, right, plus our PDF text context. Okay, this is what we require. So for that we have a function over here, def generate response. All right, now to generate response, what it requires few things. It requires the PDF text, right? So PDF underscore text. It also requires the chat history, so that there can be a context created based upon what chat already made earlier, and user can, this will just keep the context stored, that in which particular context the user is basically having the conversation or started the conversation, or what all historical conversation happened, so that better answer can be given. And then it requires what? User input. These three things it requires, right? And then we'll try to update this particular thing. Once it is done, thereafter we will have the main function, right? What main function will do? Main function will be responsible to create your UI and all, right? So let's try to create the UI first, and thereafter we'll update the generate response and check if everything is working or not. So UI can be created through Streamlit. So st.title, okay, I'll give it a name, AI Council Chatbot. So this is your UI title. Thereafter, I need to give the PDF path. So what is PDF path? PDF path, here the PDF is stored at the same location. So we can just give over here the same, only name we can give. Okay, nothing else. Okay, because it is at the same location, right? So just give over here the name. All right. Next, what we require? We require PDF text. So PDF text I can extract from here, isn't it? And then I can pass the PDF path over here. So this will be the PDF text that I can use, PDF underscore text. All right. So PDF text we have over here accumulated for this function. All right. Thereafter, we will use over here. We have to create some sort of form, right, where user can feed some detail, right? But first, before going ahead, let's try to execute it and check how is it working. So I'll define if name double equals to main, so that when I run this file, the main function should trigger on its own, right? So let's use double equals to main, right? And I'll call this main function. All right. Now this is a basic thing that has been created. Only the structure has been created. Now I have to run and check whether it is working or not. So I'll go to the location where this thing is existing, right? So this is a chatbot app. So let me just move to the chatbot app. I'll show you. This is our chatbot app. Okay, where app.py. Now I will just start my command prompt over here. Okay, and just a minute, I should give CMD. Okay, and when I give CMD, I launch my command prompt at the given location, right? Then how do we run a Streamlit app? It's a Streamlit run app.py. Okay, so now it is running. It will start running, and once it is started running, I'll just cross check whether everything is running smoothly or not. So this is a Streamlit file. What is expected? It should have the title as of now, only the title, right? Rest thing will check. Okay, so let it be done. Okay, so now my title is appeared. So now we'll modify our code, right? So I'll get back to my coding environment. Now what we required in this thing? We required over here the user input, right? So I'll create user underscore input. That would be equals to what? st dot text input, right? Where user can input their question or the prompt, right? So I'll say ask a question about AI Council career focused training. All right. So this is what we will do, right? So this will be the user input. Once we have the user input, thereafter we'll create a submit button, where user can just press and get the result. Okay, click and get the result. So that can be st dot form submit button. Okay, and here I'll do what? Send. Just give the thing send. Now let's save it and let's check what exactly we have. Right, so let's get back to the UI. Okay, I'll refresh it. So if you see, we're getting an error over here. Right here I have the things, but button is not showing. Here I can enter anything like what is training, but obviously this will not work as of now. But here button I'm not getting. Why I'm not getting the button? What we want, that you can see st.form we had given. That means there is a form kind of here there is a form instance. When I click on this button, the information in the form should be submitted, right? So for that purpose we have to create, that means these everything will be a part of form. That's why we have to create over here with st.form. Okay, that means there is a form that I want to create, which will be identified by a key, let's say chat form. This will be the chat form. Okay, and once everything gets submitted, I want to clear the text box. So I'll use clear on submit is equals to true, right? So this will be the part of our form, these two things. Okay, now I'll again save it. Okay, I'll get back over here and I'll check if it is working or not. Okay, so it is running now, it's fine. Okay, key. Okay, hello. So when I click send, you can see this thing gets clear. So this is working very smoothly. Next step is what? We have to just add few more entity over here. Like when submit button is clicked, it should start generating the output and all. So we'll work on now the generative AI part over here, which will generate the answer based upon the question asked by the user. So let's move ahead for the next part. So what we want, that when user clicked on the submit button, that means if submit, right? If submit, and we also need to check the field should not be blank, right? Because user can press the submit button without entering anything as well, like this. So in that case, my application should not behave abnormally. So I need to put the condition over here: if it is submitted and your user input, whatever the user input is there, right? User input is dot strip, that means remove any kind of extra spaces. Okay, dot strip will remove any lagging or leading spaces. Any space, that means before the text or after the text, will be removed. Is not equals to, okay, blank. If it is not equals to blank, then go for the next part. So next part is what will be the generate response. Okay, take this thing from here, put it over here, right? So here this will give me the answer is equal to generate response. Now this guy will require what? PDF text is fine. Now chat history. So where is our chat history? Okay, so here I have to define something so that chat history can be there, right? So what should we do, right? So for the chat history, we'll click create over here, initialize, initialize, okay, chat history in our session state. Okay, in a current session state, we'll insert chat history, right? So if here I'll give the kind of a condition, if chat history, right? Obviously chat history and everything will be created over here in this section, right? So if chat history not in, okay, st dot session state. Okay, if it is not there, right, then we will do what? We'll define a chat history over here, st dot session state, current session state. That is important because I don't want the chat history of one person should kind of affect the chat history of other person. So it should be session dependent. Okay, only one session dependent. Like I suppose I started chat now, then after some time I close the chat, then after 1 hour again I'm starting chat. So whatever the chat that I did earlier, okay, should not affect my current chat, right? So like when the session ends, chat history will also get removed. So dot chat history is equals to, as of now, make it blank. Okay, so this is our chat history, right? So as of now it is obviously blank. I'll just copy and paste it over here. Okay, now it is done. Okay, so now we have to do what? Whatever the answer generated, that thing should be appended to the chat history. Okay, so st dot, this one, this is a list, right? If you see, so this should append what it should append. It should append the few things like what user had asked. So user input colon, what is user input? This is your user input. Okay, whatever user had asked, that should get appended, as well as whatever the assistant had responded. Okay, that should also get what assistant had responded, answer. Okay, so in the chat history, this thing should be appended. All right, now we have to kind of a chat history also have to respond display, right? Like for example, if suppose someone is doing the chat, so someone asks the question over here, let's say question, or you can say chat initiated, right? So user asked something like over here, you can say user, right? So let me just remove this thing. It could be user, right? So here user said he, right? So assistant will respond, right? What assistant will respond? It will respond, hello, how can I assist you? How can I assist you? Okay, like this, right? Now again user will say that tell me about training program. All right, so it should just assistant will respond that we have these are the training program like data science, ML ops, right? Generative AI, like that, right? Then user will say tell me about the fee, right? Then again assistant will respond with some of the information, right? Now what we want, that these all information should be stored in the chat history, as well as it should be displayed. Okay, it should not be like that user asks this thing, okay, and this answer, this thing is displaying and others disappeared. No, everything should be displayed. Okay, so that's why we have over here the chat history that we are creating, right? Now let's say how can we display it? All right, so let's move ahead to display this thing over here. That means we have to display all the chat history that will represents the past conversation that happened, isn't it? If I want that all the chat history should be appeared, what I can do here, I have to create after the form, outside the form actually. Here I have to create, let me just use it. Okay, here I have to create the display chat history, okay, in reverse order. Okay, that means the first question asked should keep first, right? That means the latest one should be at the last. Okay, so we'll say that if there is a chat history present, if it is not present, obviously it will not give me anything. But if it is present, okay, if it is present, then do what? Then run a loop. Okay, then only it can show me everything for chat in this one, chat history. Okay, run a loop to show me all the details, right? This guy. Okay, and then I want to show the details. So st.markdown. Okay, I can also use text, but markdown will give me a better view, right? So here I can define over here uh, kind of a u. U will represent the user, right? What user had asked, right? And thereafter I can use over formatted text f, right? And thereafter from the chat, okay, from the chat, okay, I can pick the keyword user, right? Whatever the user had asked. So in the chat over here, we are kind of storing the value as a user. So I can use over here, or I should use user input, right? Or here I should use actually user only, right? Why user? User input is this one, okay? Here user input, but the key representing the user input, we are appending it with a key user. So let's access this particular key, right? And this is a formatted text. F is already added. U I want to show in a bold letter. So just add double asterisk. All right. Now again, I want to show the assistant response. So assistant dot this one here, assistant, right? And what is a key representing the assistant? This is a key from the chat. Now things are done. Okay, so at least user interface is created. Let's move and check how is it behaving. As of now, generative part will not work, but let's see how is it behaving. So let me ask a question over here. Right? So it is assistant is showing what? None. Okay. Now I'll ask it, how are you? Because this one is now added to the chat history. So when I click it, this will not go away. Right. I'll ask it, tell me about training programs, right? I'll ask it. Right. So now it is almost 70% done. Only we have to complete the generative AI part so that assistant response can also be shown. Right. So let's move to the generative AI part so that I can show the assistant response. So we'll just complete this particular function. Now this function is same that we did earlier. Right. Here what we need over here to create a prompt. Okay. So let's try to create a prompt. Okay. Prompt, it will be a long, kind of a long text. So I'll use over here 3 quotes so that I can have the long text easily done. Right. So what I want, I'll say that you are a helpful assistant of AI Council. All right. Thereafter, I'll say use the information below where to answer user question. Okay, where is the information? The information I'll give through PDF text. Okay, questions naturally. That means it should it should work like that someone human is responding. Okay, that means more natural without mentioning the source document, right? Without mentioning the source document. All right, right. Thereafter, I'll say over here, please. That means I'll just kind of make it look good. So please provide your answers with clear formatting. Okay, that is also important. Use bullet points, right? Or numbered lists wherever applicable to improve readability. Readability. All right. This is what we do. And where is my context? The context is over here, PDF text. All right. So this much we did, right? Now, based on this, let's try to check how is it working. I'll save it. I'll get back over here. Okay. And we'll check it out. Okay. I'll refresh it. Okay. I'll say he. So as of now, it is saying what? None. Why is it saying none? Because I had given the prompt. I have not defined any model and I have not, just prompt is given. Okay, just prompt, this is a variable. So this particular prompt should go to whom? This should go to model, right? So that's why now we have to define the model over here. So what is a model? Model is GenAI dot generative model. Okay, and which model we were using till now? It's 2.0 Gemini Flash, right? So Gemini 2.0 Flash. All right. Thereafter, this prompt will be given to whom? Will be given to this model. So I'll give what? Model dot generate content. Okay, and then I have to give the prompt over here. Right. So when I get the prompt, thereafter, here the output will be what? Response.text. So return what? Response dot text dot string. That means remove any extra spaces if it is generated. So let's save this guy. Let's get back and check how is it behaving now. Right. So I'll do it. Okay. I'll ask he. Let's see if it is giving me any result or not. So as I said, he, hello, AI Council offers career focused training program, cutting edge this one. So many things it had given. Okay. So it is not having any context kind of thing. Okay. Whatever I ask, let's say I'm asking what training programs. Okay. Let's see. As I asked he, it should respond me, hello, how can I help you? But not. Now I asked it, what are training programs? So hello, I am here to provide information. AI Council offering this one, curriculum highlight, so many things, right? Those things which I don't need, right? Now let's say I ask it, how can I contact? Okay, so let's say I want only the contact information. Okay, but if I'll ask this guy, you will see what I receive. How can I contact? So I can contact, it will give me so many information. Okay, and not even the contact, something randomly it is giving. Why is it so? It is because the context is not well defined over here. Okay, it is reading the prompt, getting this thing and just generating the response. Okay, the context it is not getting properly. All right, so how it can get the context, right? So for the context it will require the chat history that we are already feeding over here, isn't it? Okay, whatever the chat happened that we are already storing. Okay, whatever the chat happened that already we are storing, isn't it? That's why, when you ask a new question, the older information are also present over here. Why is it so? Because we are storing all the context but we are not making use of it, isn't it? So we need to do what? We need to do something so that the context can be used. All right, so for that, I'll use over here, right here. Let's say I'll define for chat in this chat history when we are feeding the chat history over here. Okay, or chat in chat history. Okay, like when we called it, see, when we are calling over here, this guy, generate response. So to the generate response here, we had given the chat history also, right? We are already providing the chat history. So now we will pick that chat, each chat from that chat history, and we'll try to store the information in a conversation. Okay. So there'll be a blank conversation initially. Now this conversation will append up with the or added up with the chat history, right? So for that, we'll do what? We'll add it up with what user asked. Okay, So what user arg that is present in the chat. Okay. And the key for the user is what? What is a key? We have defined the key over here, user. Okay, this is a user key. So chat user. All right. Nice. And thereafter, what assistant responded? Okay, that we can use /n, right? Assistant, okay, colon, right here, chat, okay, and thereafter your chat. And what is the key of this assistant? We had already defined the key as assistant only. I'll copy this thing and we'll paste it over here. All right, and then again /n for new line. Okay, now these are what the formatted text. Okay, this curly braces. So I have to use F over here, right? So this will be added to the conversation. Now this conversation will be the part of our prompt. Just after the PDF text, I'll add over here conversation so far. Okay, so that in the prompt we are feeding the conversation that these are the conversation which already been made, isn't it? Right? And thereafter we will give over here the user input. Okay, what user had asked. As of now in the prompt, I'm giving the PDF text, but I'm not giving the user input. So let's say if I'll give the user input over here now. So user colon user input, whatever the user had responded, and the assistant should respond over here like this. Okay, after this assistant response will appear. I just left it blank, and this is the whole prompt we are giving, so that using this prompt it will understand that it needs to check this PDF text. This is a conversation that already happened till now. This is the user input specifically, and then the assistant will respond. All right, so now let's save it and let's try to re-execute this thing. Okay, all right, now I'll ask it, I'll just give it a greeting, he. So now it is more specific. Okay, so do you provide training on generative AI? Let's check. Yes, we do provide it. This is very specific, right? Now, so what topics will be covered? So here I had not mentioned generative AI. Just I'm mentioning what topics will be covered, just to check whether it is making use of context or not. Okay, because these all information are present in the conversation, right? So that means this should create a context. Let's see how is it behaving. So I asked what topics will be covered. So now the training program offers basic topics. So it had given the complete details over here, right? The complete details, right? So let me just ask it more specifically. Okay, it is using the context, but not that good. We can change the model to be more accurate, but as of now it's fine. Okay, so here what topics will be covered? So now it is saying that these topics will be covered. Okay, now I'll say what fee of the course. Okay, so it has given me that you can contact over it because the fee information I had not given in the brochure. Okay, and then I'll say over here buy. Okay, now let's say we'll tweak the program a bit and check the effect. Okay, let's say if I'll not use this conversation, okay, like this, I'll comment it. So multi-line comment. Okay, let's say I don't want to use this conversation. Okay, and I'll also I don't want to use this thing as well. Okay, let's say I'll remove it. Okay, and I'll save it. Only user input I'm giving. I saved it, right? Now what happened? Let's check. As of now, it is a little bit more specific and more contextual. But if I'll not pass the conversation till now, I'm just giving the user input. Okay, so now if I'll again check it, how is it behaving? I'll refresh this page. As I refresh this page, I'll ask it he. So it should greet me. I'll ask yes, I am interested. Okay, now it is giving me this thing, right? Now I'll ask it, what can I expect in MLOps? Okay, it is giving me the hint. So now it is also very much specific, right? It's not showing kind of some random output, right? I just said by. So now it is not showing me any kind of random output, even if I am not using this conversation in the prompt. Okay, so this conversation will just kind of make sure that in case, it will just make the context better, right? But it is just optional. Okay, you can check in your case when you have very large data. Here I have a very small PDF, so whenever you have a very large data, this conversation can be helpful. Okay, here it is not adding any value, but this is your optional thing that you can try in case, if without feeding up the historical conversation things are not working good for you, you can try with this conversation in your prompt. Okay, the historical conversation in your prompt. Okay, this will help in creating a context for this generative application, or you can say the chatbot application. All right, so you can check your application with this or without this, right? And check in which case it is working good on different kinds of data. You can just work with a larger PDF, like suppose 50-page PDF and all. So in that case, this can be very helpful. Okay, for a smaller PDF, it is not that much required. So this is done as of now. Now we want what? We want this thing to be deployed over the server. Okay, so which server we use? Like last time we will use same render server, right? So for the render server, what we require, there are few modifications that we have to do over here. First, if I'm going to the server, okay, it is important that this particular application, when goes to server, it should go with all the dependencies, right? That means all the, like, what are the dependencies we have? We have a Streamlit, we have PyMuPDF, we have a Google Generative AI. So how can I make sure that all the dependencies should get installed properly? I can make sure that all the dependencies should get installed properly by creating a file requirements.txt, right? And here I'll mention all the requirements, like I need Streamlit, I need PyMuPDF, okay? And then I required Google Generative AI, Google Generative, GENERA, Google Generative AI, okay? This is what I required, isn't it? So these things should be installed on my server, okay? Then only my application can behave well. Okay, apart from that, we also want that my API keys should not be visible like this, right? So if I want my API key should not be visible like this, what should I do? I will access the API key, okay, from the environmental variable. So os dot get environment, okay, right? And here I'll create an environmental variable with a name gen AI API key. All right, and thereafter this thing will be mentioned over here. All right, so now it is done, right? So once it is done, this is ready for the deployment for on the render server, right? So next we'll try to deploy it on the render server. So just finish it up to here, and thereafter move to the render server, right? So for the render, we'll go ahead to the render. Let me show you and check if it is running on a online platform or not. So render, I'll open up, right? I'll go here, all right, and then get started for free. Okay, but before doing this, what we need, we also need this thing to be, that means the code, the program that we have over here. Okay, this should be present here, this should be present in my GitHub, isn't it? So we have to create a repository in GitHub, and thereafter we have to upload this thing to the GitHub, and from there my render server can easily access my files. All right. So let's do the first step. That means we'll go to GitHub, right? And we'll upload this thing. So here is my GitHub, right? I'll create a new repository. Okay. The name of that repository I can give over a chatbot. Okay. So this is my repository that I'm going to create. Okay. And in this repository, I'll post my file. So create a new file, or I'll just click on upload existing. So all the three files that we have stored in my system, isn't it? We'll do what? We'll just drag and drop it over here. So what are those three files? There's a PDF file, there's an app file, and there's a requirements.txt file. Just push it to GitHub. Wait the change. So my GitHub is now having all these three files available over here. Right. Now we'll go to render. Right. And in the render, we'll just click on over here. Right. That is my existing project. In this project, already 2 applications are running, 2 web services are running. I want one new web service. So click on new web service. All right. And here I have to give the path. So from where I can access path? I can access path from here. Right. Paste it over here. Okay. And then public repository I'll select. All right. And then click on connect. Okay. So this production is selected. Python 3 is language. This is my server location. This will install my requirement.txt. And how to start? To start the program, what we do? We use start run app.py. Okay, this is what we had given in the command prompt. If you notice, this is something we had given in command prompt, and thereafter our application is started. So same command this guy should also know. And then free tile I have to select, and then I have to create our what? The environmental variable, right? So with what name shall I create environmental variable? With this name I should create, right? Because this is what it can access, isn't it? So let's go here and create it. And what should be the value? The value it can have from the actual API, right? So actual API is on AI Studio, right? So I'll go to AI Studio. All right. And here I have the API keys. Okay, I'll just copy one of the API key from here. All right, get back here and add our API key. Everything is there. And then I'll click on deploy. It will take few minutes to deploy. And thereafter I get my web address. Using that web address, we can easily do what? We can easily access our application, isn't it? So let's give it few minutes of time to deploy it, and thereafter we'll access our application over cloud. All right. Now, if you see, your build is successful and your service is running live, right? So we get a web address. If I click on this web address, that is your chatbot aicouncil.onrender.com. Okay. So when I click it, I should get my application. So if you see, earlier my application was running on a local host, right? That means it is running only in my system. But now my application can be accessible from any part of the globe, okay? Because now it is running on the internet. Okay, I get a kind of a web address, and using that web address, anyone can access my application. Okay, let's check like if it is working good or not. So I'll say he. Okay, so I'll say I am a Python developer. What course should I take? Okay, so here I'm just making the question a little bit more tuned, right? Not a straight question. So when someone will ask this kind of question, then that conversation and context can play important role. Given the background, you can just go with this part. Okay, these are the courses that you can go with, right? It's responding very well, right? Now, tell me about first one. Okay, let's say first one is what? Data science. Let's check like whether this is making that conversation useful or not. Like we had used this thing, right? In your thing. See here, I had used the conversation over here. Okay, right, conversation. And then we are just passing this conversation in the prompt. So let's say it is making use of that conversation or not. Okay, I just want to check. I'm not sure like whether it will make use of that or not, but let's see. Okay, so yeah, tell me the first one. Yeah, right, it is working. Okay, so as I said, tell me about first one. So as I said, tell me about first one. It is just picking up the data science and it is responding for data science, right? It's not responding for others. Why is it possible? It is possible because we had given the conversation over here, the past conversation. So from that past conversation, it can easily pick what was the first thing that it mentioned, right? So now it's working very cool over the cloud space as well, and everything is very smooth. Next, we'll try to build a simple app, simple website, okay, and we'll try to integrate our chatbot into our website. So stay tuned for the next learning that we are going to start very soon. Take care. Have a happy hacking.